Well, greetings, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 159. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Many of you will either be watching this by YouTube or will be listening to the podcast, so subscribe to our YouTube channel at Qnity. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. I'm also CEO and founder of the Qnity Enterprises. What is a lightbulb moment? Well, it's a moment of sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. So hopefully we'll send some sparks your way that will turn into a light bulb moment that you actually do something with. At Qnity, we're here to take what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated and give you a clearer path towards prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks again for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you. Feel free to submit a guest idea in the chat. Send us an email. We're always looking for guests. We're looking for some of your own light bulb moments. Today, we will have a featured guest, Jozlyn Miller, who's a luxury spa consultant, and she's Senior Education Manager at Boulevard. We're going to have an engaging conversation starting very shortly with JOZ on a lot of technology-related topics. Check out some recent episodes. Last time we had the Queen Bee of Beauty, Sydney Berry. We also recently had Deborah Neal, Minter Dial, Galen Paulson, Gay Gaddis, Dr. Katie Pritchard, Dr. Elizabeth Richmond Garza, Sam Bricado, Mike Leggett, and Liz and Jess Arundel from Luscious & Co. Those are just a few of the recent episodes. Check them out, and be sure to put some comments what you liked about the episodes, etc. Again, submit your own light bulb moment, whether it's in the chat or you can go to our webpage. And also want to mention and give a shout out to our sponsors, which is Lightheart Sanders, who has been a legacy sponsor of Lightbulb Moments from almost the very beginning. Also Green Circle Salons and Forest. So thanks to those brands for helping to make Lightbulb Moments possible. Some upcoming dates, be sure to check out Erin's podcast on money stories. She's got some amazing guests. There's a lot of recent episodes, so check those out. Also, we have a Succession Masterclass coming up in the fall, October 7th in Minnesota. Enrollment is open for that. We will fill that class. We also, I don't have a slide to this effect, but we also have some classes in Minnesota on September 9th and 10th featuring our signature profit program and our signature growth program. You can go to our website to learn more about that. Also, I'll have someone put in the chat if you want more about those upcoming classes. What's coming soon, very, very soon, is after almost a full year of work, we will next week be releasing the 2023 Salon Chain Compensation Study, something we did in partnership with ISBN. We have over 25,000 data points, and it is a very, very enriching report. So stay tuned. There's a lot of amazing finance. So this is amazing findings. So you're going to have a chance to get some sneak peeks of this over the upcoming weeks. So definitely there's a lot of really fascinating insights on that. We're also reminder that we are soon launching right after the completion of the chain study. So actually next week, we're going to start putting this much more intentionally. The 2024 Salon P&L Benchmark Study. It's a breakthrough project, again, done by the Qnity Institute, which is a boutique data firm. Salons are running their businesses with old or untested or no data. Benchmarks are in question post-pandemic. In the last full study on a P&L benchmark study was for multi-location salons only, and that was by the 2 to 10 Project in collaboration to UMass Boston. This time around, the enrollment period will start in August, and it will go through, I think it'll be for the full month of August. Final results will be published in October. It'll be a very simple process. There's going to be a survey and the opportunity to upload in a secure site 2022 and 2023 P&Ls from Excel, and there's an optional tax verification. Participants will get a free scorecard and a free P&L assessment. But more importantly, they'll be able to contribute to an industry-wide need and effort to better manage our businesses based upon data. A QR code's on the screen here. More coming on that. And I do want to take a moment to mention that JOZ from Boulevard, who was our guest today, Boulevard has agreed to be one of the sponsors for the P&L study, which is amazing. So shout out to Boulevard for putting their money where their mouth is. What's my light bulb moment this week? Well, it's going to be a good segue into a conversation that I'm going to have with JOZ here in a minute. And so the whole subject of technology, and couple things this week. So first of all, upgraded all of our iPhones, all 4 in our family here. It was actually cheaper to do that than it was to continue our existing plan. So I'm now going through this whole process of resyncing everything to my new iPhone, my watch, my iPad, my computer, resetting up this. And honestly, it's a little bit of a hassle, but maybe that's just me, okay? The other thing that's come to mind is that technology subscriptions. And I'm wondering if people might want to put in the chat, how many technology subscriptions do you have in your company right now? I can't keep track of them all. And it seems like we're adding one a week. I just found out about one we're adding, which I'm very much behind. We need it. It's another AI related one, but how many technology subscriptions do you have? Now, there's a lot of personal finance experts that are out there saying, hey, review your subscriptions, whether it's for Netflix, whether it's for this, whether it's for that, so it's widely talked about in personal finance. And a lot of times, you get sucked into a free offer and then you give them your credit card. And then before you know it, you're paying every month, you lose track of it. And at the end of the year, it's like, oh my God, I've had these 5 subscriptions that I should have canceled, But what about for small business? In our personal life, if we maybe have, I don't even know how many we have in our personal life, but a lot. But I wonder, is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 30? So I'm curious to see, what people's response to that. I mean, how many technology subscriptions do you have? And then secondly is, and what's really important and a good segue into something we're going to talk to Roz about here, what is your adoption rate on those? I mean, the bells and whistles and all the features that come with them, are you using 50% of the features, 20% of the features? Technology adoption, there's one thing to have technology, but the other thing, what's most important is technology adoption. And it's adopting the technology that you've already purchased to its fuller capacity. And so it's always been a hot topic for me, and it's a good segue into my guest today. So JOZ, why don't you come to the screen? Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Tom. How are you?
Good. Now, remind me, I think I asked you this question, but what part of the country are you in again?
Yes, I am in Louisiana. I'm actually in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So if anyone's familiar with the area, about an hour or so from New Orleans.
Well, I actually did not know that. You might
Oh,
have told me that at the fill, but we did not
yes.
talk about that during the prep call. I'm glad, because sometimes when I work with companies, well, like Boulevard, for example, is West Coast. My next segue was thanks for getting up so early, but you're in Central Time Zone like I
It's
am.
almost noon, or it's 10, so it's close.
So a little bit about your background. So you have, I'm going to read your formal background here, and I'm going to
Yeah, of
provide
course.
my own editorial version, if that's okay. As one of Boulevard's self-care industry experts, Jozlyn spent more than 15 plus years in the beauty and wellness industry, including 9 years at the spa at Terranea, did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
Resort in Ranchos Palos Verdes, where she worked her way to the front desk coordinator, operations manual, moving on up.
Mhm.
Well-versed in every step of the client journey. You like the client journey. We're going to come back to that.
Yeah.
Jozlyn uses her firsthand industry experience and technology to help businesses save time,
Mhm.
increase revenue, and improve retention so they can do what they do best, keeping their customers happy.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
you have um, uh, you have a love of the industry, I think is very clear.
absolutely. And I realized it, I would say my first year working as front desk coordinator at a spa in Rancho Palos Verdes in California. Quickly fell in love with it and everything that had to do with not just the operations of a spa and what we were offering and, the wellness part of it, but also the client experiences and the amazing people I was able to meet. So absolutely, fully love it.
We've had CEOs and we've had other C-level executives from tech companies on here. I love that we're talking to the senior education manager
Yeah,
because it kind of goes to the topic of technology adoption.
absolutely.
Um, I'm going to give just a few other little nuggets about you. Um, the, well, why don't you describe your role for a moment? Okay, that could be really helpful to see. Because just a
Yeah.
little bit of background, give us just a sort of 30-second summary of who Boulevard is.
Yeah, so Boulevard, of course, is a client's experience platform. So not only are we helping owners, managers, front desk, service providers understand and organize their day within their locations of their businesses, but we are also making the experience for the client as seamless and beautiful as possible so that it reflects directly what that business, is trying to portray. And for myself, just within the company, I am working very closely with, I would say, every single department, whether it's a product team or our engineers, our sales team, our customer success team, to make sure that we are approaching everything from what an owner or operations manager essentially would look at when they're looking for a platform, when they're looking for the features that they need within a platform. I'm working closely with each of those team members to make sure that we are doing that and getting that to them.
You have an interesting description. I mean, a another way to describe it is a POS company, right?
It is, yes, we are a
Yeah.
POS company as well, because we are our own payments facilitator. So yes, we are included with that POS, but it's so much more than just POS.
So it's really point of sale, but also merchant processing. I mean, essentially, that is your product in terms of, I think there's some clear ways you differentiate
Oh, yeah.
and do it well. And I will give a shout out to you and your team. And I know Kat from your team. I know you from your team. I think we met two other individuals. I've also met your marketing person, and you are a first-class group, very professional. I think you did a great job at the Phil. You did a presentation that I think was clearly not a commercial, but it really was education. So shout out to you and Kat and everybody else from the team.
Thank you. We take those opportunities to honestly not try to sell. We don't want to sell Boulevard. Of course, we want to sell Boulevard, but we don't necessarily want to do that in that type of setting. We want to come from an educational, standpoint, and I think that's what we resonates with that kind of crowd. So yeah, it was a
All
good
right. So we
session.
each have some favorite topics. We'll start with mine, if that's okay. All right.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Mine is the subject of technology adoption.
Yeah.
And I've shared a story many different times, and at the risk of repeating it, it goes back to my experience as a salon owner
Mhm.
when we were in the middle of a decision on what technology platform we wanted to use as the basis for a pretty large organization.
Right.
And we were well entrenched with one system, and there was another system that had been actively trying to court us.
Yes.
And ultimately, the decision came down to, when in doubt, be loyal to who you're working with, okay?
Mhm.
Unless there's reasons to the contrary. And
Mhm.
number two is, I say when in doubt, okay? If there's a far superior product, then that's something else. All right.
Exactly.
But the other thing I realized was that what's really key is technology adoption, and that we were using just a fraction of the features of a very robust system. We were going to get a more robust system, which to me meant we were going to use the same percentage of features for a slightly more robust. So it just
Or
didn't.
even-
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I love that today there's more sophistication around education, and you as a senior education manager, you're able to help with technology adoption. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, when you think about adoption, you have to understand if you are using the most of your system. I think it's extremely important to understand that. And it's funny, I actually speak with a lot of owners or operation managers, and they will think that they can launch on Boulevard without, that extensive training, because most of the people in this industry are pretty tech savvy. So I think it's important that you kind of take a step back and make sure you are actually utilizing every single feature to its fullest capability to see if it's something that you would want to essentially stick with or go to another, solution that you're looking at.
So then you mentioned checklists as a way to evaluate technology adoption, or is it more a checklist more to identify the needs?
Both, actually.
Mhm.
If you're looking at a solution, you do have a checklist that you need to create before you start looking for another one, because how are you going to know exactly what you're looking for? So I would say you would need a checklist for the things that you already have that are non-negotiables, and then you need to have a checklist of the things that you need when you're looking to grow and how that's going to look. For example, if you don't have a robust online booking system, and that's going to be the next step to make it so that you are getting more add-ons added to your, services or something of that sort. That might be something that you need for growth. So that would be on my growth checklist versus, what I currently already have. So I think it's a kind of a two-part checklist that you'll need.
So what are some features that you just either cringe or just like, doggone it, I just wish, what are some features that are way underutilized where it's like, oh my gosh, I just wish more companies would use this more. I wish they discover do you have any pet peeves of features that are just neglected?
That is a great question. Actually, yeah, and it might not even be neglected. They might just not have it. But I would say anything that has to do with memberships. I think
Mm.
memberships help businesses grow um, amazingly, just because it's kind of it's that recurring revenue. And you can easily see exactly what, is forecasted with your revenue because of memberships. Memberships can be really heavy, especially in the spa world. You'll see a lot of membership heavy businesses, but they might not be utilizing it correctly or having it set up correctly so that they are maximizing it to the best of its capability. So that is one thing that I'm always like, if I'm speaking to an owner, I'm like, are you using memberships? And if not, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you can market it, bring more insight into it so that your clients can see exactly what that looks like for them and how it would be a benefit for them.
So memberships are a feature and a business model.
Mhm.
So I think your frustration might come from both. Number one is not really having memberships, promoting memberships, not having it as a revenue source, and then also not using whatever. And you're the expert in your system, I'm not, but not taking advantage of the features to enable memberships. Do I have that right?
Exactly. Yes.
What are
Exactly.
some of your favorite membership programs? And we do have some spa listeners on here, and I know that's your sweet spot and where you came from. Can we look at salons just for a moment?
Of course.
So give me an example of maybe one of your favorite or something that's a good membership model for salons that has worked.
Oh,
Recurring
yeah.
revenue, all of that, value to the guests.
That's an easy one. Blowouts. Anything that has to do with blowouts. If you have a blowout membership where they can get two a month, and that could be when they're, when your client is excited about a dinner date or they're just looking to have a spruce up before a presentation, anything, they can come in, get those two, services for that month and be able to have some type of discount that's tied to it or some type of benefit that's tied to it. So that's an easy one for salons. I would always go the blowout route.
You got another one? Putting you
Well,
on the spot.
yeah, there. That's not, yeah, for salons. So for salons, you also think about add-ons. A lot of services within the salon world benefit with add-ons, whether that be a gloss, like some type of mask or a treatment that they're adding to that actual service. So we can also see memberships that have complimentary add-ons or discounted add-ons or even discounted service prices for that specific client that purchases that. So yeah, there's a lot of different, you can make a little puzzle out of it in regards to, exactly what you're offering. It just looks like whatever works best for that business and what they're looking for.
So as far as other things that you wish people would take more advantage of, would reports be another area that there's certain reports that's like, oh, I think companies should use this report more often, and this is the report?
Oh, yeah. I mean, reporting is, you have to understand reports. And I know it could be complex for some businesses. Specifically with Boulevard, we actually have custom reporting, which allows you to pretty much grab exactly what kind of data you're looking for, no matter what it is, whether it be retail, service sales, utilization percentage. All of these are going to be important to understand exactly how your business is being successful. So yes, I do feel like some people might just look at the basics. And I think it comes from an educational standpoint because they might not fully understand what they're looking for. They may, lean on their accountant or someone else that's more report savvy to understand it. But I think as an owner, as a manager, you have to understand reports in order to, understand the business in full. When it comes to specific reports, if you want to get a little bit more granular with it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, for sure. So when I think of reports that are just needed to understand the business in total, I would say retention reporting is vital for any business because you have to understand how many of your clients or those new clients are turning into, return clients. And you want to understand those return clients and how often they visit. So you can get a better understanding on, exactly that location's level of retention rate. That I think it's vital for anybody that's running a business. So, are you doing it correctly? I think the client loyalty is probably one of the biggest KPIs for any business. And of course, it has everything. I always tie everything back into, client experience. You're going to get client loyalty through client experience. And that then speaks on that retention rate.
How do you measure retention for the salon model? Give me just, and if you have that top of mind, great. If not, is it self-selecting? Or is there a default report?
There should be in your system, there should be. I know with us at Boulevard, we have a specific default report for it, but we report on it by 30, 60, and 90-day return.
Okay.
So that would be our default, but you can always get more granular with it. We've picked those, ranges just because it's the best metric to look at. But if you need to get more granular, you can definitely do that if you want to look at even annually.
So let me review, make sure I understand. So in that particular model, so client comes in April,
Mhm.
they return in May, that's 30 days,
Mhm.
June, 60 days,
Mhm.
July, 90 days. So at the end of 90 days, it's like, okay, you would expect someone to be back within 90 days. Is that a fair time frame, do you think, in a salon model?
To be honest, in a salon model, I say 30. You need them to come back that next month. I would prefer them to come back that next month because that is when you know that they're going to be monthly recurring clients, which is exactly what we want, or even more than monthly. So my goal for a business owner would be a 30-day return. So I can make that just like a loyal client in general.
That's pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's the goal. That's the goal. You want that experience to be so top notch that they're not going to go anywhere else. They're going to come right back to you for that, that blowout that next month.
All right. Let me segue into another topic of mine that very much relates to this.
Yeah.
And this has to do not just with technology adoption, but also your tech team.
Mhm.
And, so who are the in-house people in the company that will either be the liaison with a company like yours or will be the report master.
Mhm.
And this again goes back to technology adoption. It's like the who.
Mhm.
And, clearly you've got your small, medium, and large size businesses. Now,
Yeah,
small, it's probably it's another hat someone's going to already wear. I mean, it's not like in most cases, even for a larger company, you probably won't have a full-time person that just is the
right.
technology adoption report, liaison with the tech company. But describe to me some of the best relationships in terms of taking advantage of this technology with the in-house team, like who you would work with.
Yeah. So it depends. It could be a number of people. I mean, you have anywhere from your salon or spa directors, owners, or you also have the operation managers. I mean, the operation managers are very heavily within the operations and understanding how that location is ticking. We're talking to staff members, we're talking to clients, we're making sure that experience is perfect on every step of the way. So I think it depends on one who is the most tech savviest. And then from there, that would usually be the one that we are speaking to, like with Boulevard and during that sales process. So yeah, it just depends on that. I mean, you think of larger businesses, that could be anyone, again, that is tech savvy, or they might have someone that they already, is the only one for that specific position and looking to find out exactly, what type of technology is out there. But I think for those smaller and medium businesses, we're kind of doing all of it. And we're just picking that person within the business that is the most savvy at the time.
If you think of a platform like yours,
Mhm.
at Qnity, we talk about 5 different functions, and it's certainly operations, and it tends to live more in the operations world.
Yeah,
But marketing is key. The marketing function this is the database,
right.
and this is the place where you're going to get data on how to better, market, et cetera. Certainly finance. Finance is gonna
Yes.
is gonna touch on a platform. Uh, Education will, in the extent that usage of the system requires education with frontline workers and everybody. And then
Mhm.
human capital, which is really where we get to like who from the company is really going to own the technology, whether it's technology adoption, technology training, all of that. So it
Mhm.
interfaces with the entire company, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Even with the operations manager, they're speaking, or the director, they're speaking with everyone outside of the team. And I think it just brings to that one selected person that is then, speaking on behalf of everyone. But it definitely has to do with every single, department within a business, because you want to make sure it's aligning with exactly what their needs are and that it's going to meet those needs before you transition to something different, or, create our join another, solution. So I think it's important that you understand the education part of it. You're speaking with marketing about it because you need to know exactly what kind of data are you looking to pull so that we can market to the right, clientele. So yes, it's I think everyone within the team.
So I got to some of my favorite topics. Now
Yeah.
we'll get to some of your favorite topics, okay?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
certainly you talk about client experience um, and then when we were digging in on that a little bit, we got the subject of personalization.
Yes.
Now, I do have one slide of yours, if it would be helpful, that I put in the deck here, and it's this client experience. Would you like me to bring it up on the screen? You'll have to describe it also because, not everybody's going to see the visuals. Is it okay if I pull it up?
Yeah. Yeah, please go for it.
All right. So you have, I'm super interested in this and the client experience, and here it is right here.
Yes.
So we have people that are able to view, we have people that are listening to the podcast. So let's kind of go through this. So
Yeah.
what I'm looking at is something called the client journey that looks like it's a sequential process that follows like a clock.
Hmm.
And I'll just do the basics, then you can fill in the blanks. So I'm just going to kind of just describe it. So we start out with a welcome. It then goes to the actual service. Then there's a send off. And then there's something called nurture, which you've got also something that says miss you next to that. Then book, prepare, and you start to cycle again.
Mm.
And I think what's cool about this is you've had it split in the middle between what happens in person, on site, in facility, and what happens online. I think it's a very cool and a simple model. All right, you can fill in the blanks.
Yeah. So with this specific client journey, it actually starts with booking. Because when you think about the full client journey, when a client is interested in possibly coming to your business, they have to first book the appointment. So yeah, it starts with booking, and this client journey Boulevard kind of mapped it out to make it so that you see exactly each touch point of the client. And when I say touch point, I don't mean like actual, service touching. I mean each touch point where your system and your business has to have some type of communication with a client.
Let
And
me
it
make a
starts with
quick
Mhm.
comment here. So I started at the wrong point on this wheel, didn't I?
You started at welcome, which is okay. It's all
I
right
should
because booking's that first
I,
one.
I started at noon, and I should have started at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So, which makes total sense. So it's book, prepare, welcome, service, send off, nurture, then book again. Simple cycle. Okay.
And it's funny that you started with welcome because most people, especially I would say the ones in the industry, they probably think that welcome would be the first one. As
Yeah.
soon as you walk in, that's when the client experience starts, which is not the case. It starts that time when they're on your website or they're on your Instagram page and they are looking to book a service. So I'm actually happy you brought that up.
And when you look at, do you have any recent metrics around online versus still picking up the phone and calling for an appointment these days?
That's a good question. Metrics, I don't, but in this industry where we are in 2024, every business's goal should be online booking for multiple reasons. Multiple meaning you don't necessarily want your front desk team members being on the phone making calls or receiving calls because one, it's taking away from other things going on in the business that they can be working on, is taking away from, client face-to-face interactions where they can be making these experiences, amazing in person. So I would say the goal is to have as much as possible done digitally over online booking. And that says a lot with how you have your online booking set up as well. Because if it's not easy, if it's not, graceful, if it's all over the place, it's clunky, they're probably going to be turned off by it. So we're very big on making sure it fits your aesthetics, that it is simple, that it's a couple of clicks, you're done, you're good to go. You get that confirmation automatically, and those forms are filled out right after that appointment's booked. So I think the ease of your online booking has a lot to do with knowing if you should, have online booking versus over the phone and in-person booking.
Now, as someone that likes to develop tools and likes to develop training around the tools, I
Mm.
really love this simple model. I mean, I could literally build a whole training and an onboarding and a quality
Yes.
control based upon this same thing because it's very simple, it's very tangible.
Yeah.
So honestly, I kind of love this. Okay, if I don't mind saying, I mean, I really
Yeah, I
like
do
this.
too. I've done multiple trainings on each of these steps and just, ways to make it so that you are customizing and, like I said, making it personal for each experience on this map. I think it's important to personalize every single touch point within this section here because this is going to be what heightens that client experience for you and makes those new clients into returning clients.
And what comes to mind for me, and there's been a part of the Qnity program that many people don't know about, and it's called the missing link to wow.
Mm.
And the idea behind it, it's funny because just 2 weeks ago we built this whole new tool around it, And it's a part of our program that's kind of buried into it. A lot of people aren't even aware of it, but it's a very simple idea. The missing link to wow is really understands well the client journey and what's important to the client. And it's really simple. If you look at it from three different phases, we have the before the client comes in,
Mm.
when the client's there on site, and what happens after. And if you apply this to a service provider, many people might kill it during the service, do a great job, but they go into the service unprepared. They didn't review past purchases. They didn't see their booking pattern. They didn't remember their name. They didn't prepare. And then on the other end, there's no follow-up. So there's no follow-up in the terms of whether it's an email, whether it's a card, whether it's some recognition. Hey, it was great to see you. Reminder, this is what we discussed, whatever. So the idea is that in order to wow someone, you can only go so far with a great technical service, but what really people love is the what happens before and after. I
Mhm.
think you've captured that in this model, and that's one of the things that was really drawn to me of this.
I love that. Yes, I love that you say that because if you miss one of those steps out of the three that you just mentioned, it's not going to leave that lasting effect. They could have an amazing, service that wowed them, and then that checkout experience or that follow-up or the way they are nurtured to come back through any type of marketing, if that's not spot on, then you could lose them. So you have to make sure everything is top notch with each individual, step within that client journey because you want to make sure you're keeping them. So, yeah, I agree with that.
My time is flying today. I want to make sure we get to another topic, and you tell me whether I should keep this slide up here or not, but it's personalization.
Yeah,
Should I keep this up for
yeah,
personalization?
for
Okay.
sure.
Tell me, because that was something that you're passionate about, and I think you've got some great ideas. So let's bring personalization into it. And we all know, I mean, I've gone to a bunch of conferences, and it's just everybody's talking about personalization
Oh, yeah,
and how with technology today and AI and a lot of different things is more than ever, we have the opportunity to personalize, and it's an expectation that things get personalized. So
oh, yeah.
bring some structure to that whole topic for me, will you?
For sure. I mean, personalization is probably one of my favorite things when it has to do with this industry, just because when you're thinking of it, it's what sets you apart from competitors. It's going to be what wows that client. So, what we suggest is during that booking process, and I say to keep the slide up just because of this, there's a way to personalize each one of these steps. Within that booking process, you should be grabbing client data and not just like their name, their phone number. That, of course, is important, but you want to know a little bit about them. Why are they coming? Is it for something special? So, if it is for something special, you can have this prepared and set up by the time you welcome them. Or something as simple as I love, like in the salon world, we'll have businesses that'll do you want this to be a quiet appointment? You can gather that type of information at the time of booking so that when they get there, if they just want to be quiet, read a book, listen to a podcast and not necessarily want to chat, you have that understanding before they even walk in. So you don't have to have that conversation again. You just take them to their seat and get them ready for their service. So I think being able to get that information, that data at the time of booking so you can help personalize that experience once you welcome them is going to be top notch. In addition to that, let's say in the service, if you want to personalize that, every service, of course, has a protocol. We know exactly what we're doing 1 minute in, 2 minute in, 3 minute in. But I think if you add in that personalization of some type of enhancement or some type of, way to set it apart from these other services that you're giving to other clients, they're not going to necessarily feel like they're just another number on your books. They're going to feel like you did something different for them and made that experience different from them. Same for send off. You can have all types of personalizations before you're sending them off and while you're booking them another appointment or even selling them something, upselling like a product that was used during the service. So I'm big on personalization. It is what heightens that experience and is what makes you feel, that sparkle, that extra good feeling right before you leave from a service or, from a treatment.
I've got a couple topics I want to sneak in that I just thought of that I'm very
Yeah, go for
curious
it.
about. So, what is your point of view on emails these days?
Email
Um,
marketing?
yes, I was recently at an event where somebody made a bold statement is that, you know, clients are getting way too many emails already.
Oh, yeah.
It slows down the process when you ask for the email. Are you even using the email? So it really was like, why bother with the emails?
Mm.
What's your point of view on that?
Now, I just want to confirm email marketing or like confirmation emails, because there's multiple kinds. So I want to make sure I have the right one.
Well, even just getting the client's email address.
Oh, yeah. Well, specifically for our system, you do have to have an email attached because that's how we recognize who the client is, and it separates, a Jozlyn Miller from another Jozlyn Miller. So even though that's not usually a lot of Jozlyns out there. But yes, I think emails, when I go to email marketing works. It works, especially if you're, sending out some type of promotion. You have the ability to market through email through most systems, and you want to make sure you're using it, but you have to use it smartly. Like it has to make sense. You don't want to oversaturate, that experience because it can be overwhelming. And like as a consumer, I'm getting a ton of emails already, some that I'm just deleting and not even looking at. But if you are very, focused on exactly how you're presenting these emails and doing it at the right time, I think they can be extremely beneficial, emails and SMS marketing. You just have to be strategic with it. Now, when it comes to confirmations, yes, everyone has their phone out. They have those confirmations, but I think it's also important to have that, I think of it almost like as a paper copy of it within those emails. Just because people still do use emails. We don't want to make it so that, someone's not necessarily receiving a promotion option just because they, are using text mostly. You want to make sure you're talking to every client and getting it to them as any way possible. And I think emails is, yeah, you definitely need to still keep those.
Okay, one more topic, maybe two,
Yeah.
depending on time here.
Yeah.
So front desk and a front desk is a very large expenditure on a salon's P&L.
Yeah.
And it's also widely varies out of a lot of the benchmarks. It can go really low or really high. There's a lot of discretion. It's much narrow in back bar, for example, in terms of benchmarks than it is for front desk. And we see really low, really high. What is your point of view and what is technology looking like today to become even more deskless?
Well, you're speaking with someone that worked for a resort where we were trying to reach 5-star through Forbes. So front desk is important in that aspect because during, for instance, that check-in and check-out experience, it has to be face-to-face and it has to be personalized. So I'm very big on front desk, but I'm also very big on having your technology work for you so you don't have to have a ton of front desk team members. Whereas some businesses will have, let's say, 3, 4 front desks or, stations. I don't think that's necessary. I think that you can have a good 1 or 2 at the front desk and have your technology that has enough automation so you don't have to have a lot of manual work for that front desk team member. So technology should support them in every way possible. And I don't think that if you go the route of front desk lists, it can mess up that, that client experience. I think front desk is needed for that client experience for sure. Just not as many as, what we're used to in the past.
All right, gotcha. The other subject I was going to delve into, but I don't even know if it's worth delving into, is
Go for
inventory.
it. Yes.
Inventory is just, again and again, I see inventory as the area where I'm looking at from a financial standpoint, financial reporting is
Yep.
where we have the greatest inconsistency, for example, between month to month on a salon profit, P&L because of inventory.
Yep.
Are we really recording on the profit and loss statement purchases? Or are we inventorying back bar? We probably should have a whole episode on inventory.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
So I'm going to pull that one back, okay? And say, let's save that one for another day because that's
Yeah,
a
I have a
big
lot to
animal.
talk on that too.
All right, so we'll take a rain check on that one.
For sure.
Jozlyn, you are a great guest.
Thank you. You're a
I
great
have
host.
seen you and the team in action, and your demeanor and your approach is just great and professional.
Thank
Again,
you.
shout out to you and your team and the great work that you're doing. I think that technology's evolved a lot.
Oh yeah.
I spoke candidly about technology adoption, training, who in-house is doing it, and it's really cool to see how it's elevated through the years. So we have people like you that really are looking at the pain point, creating solutions for the pain point. So anyway, let's give JOZ a big virtual round of applause. Give her a little shout out there.
Thank you.
Show her
Thank
some love.
you.
You do become a member of the Brain Trust, and so you should have your
I
$1 million
love
light bulb
it.
coming your way, and
So excited.
we'll have to have you back. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to you and the team. Amazing.
All right, JOZ. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that is a wrap. One more shout out to our sponsors, and another thank you to JOZ and the Boulevard team. And again, I do want to once again shout out. It's really great that we have sponsors as part of the upcoming P&L study. So shout out to Boulevard and the team for that and all the other good work that they're doing. So we'll call it a wrap today. Thanks so much. We'll see all of you next week, or we'll see you whenever you decide to listen to this podcast or watch the recording. Bye now. Thank you.